So, moving on to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. After Freddy dead, Freddy's dead. Sucked. But it guess it still made enough money that people wanted more Freddy. In 1994 or 93, one of the two, Wes Craven came back to the franchise and made New Nightmare, which is something he's wanted to do. When he was brought in to help write Nightmare on Elm Street 3, this was the concept he came up with. Something evil, attacking people from the real world, and they dismissed it. Well, this time, Wes Craven is directing the film, so he got to do whatever he wanted. And this is what it is. It's the bridge to Scream, so to speak. It's sort of like Scream in a way that it's these events are happening to the actual people, the people playing themselves. Like Heather Langenkamp is back; she plays herself. Wes Craven, John Saxon, Bob Shea, Robert Englund, and even a cameo by Tuesday Night and Nick Corey, or whatever his real name is. They play themselves. Nick Corey and who played Rod in the first Street Tuesday Night, who played Kristen in Part 4. They have cameos at a funeral, but they're playing their versions of themselves. And Heather Langenkamp was married to a special effects guy. They did have a child together, but yeah, little Miko Hughes playing her son Dylan, another actor playing her husband Chase. I don't think her husband's real name is Chase, but and then this is very different to Freddy Krueger in a way that it's not actually Freddy Krueger. The way that Wes Craven describes it within the film is that it's an entity of darkness that has been kept in the darkness, in the other dimension, in another world, for as long as there have been Elm Street movies. And now that Freddy is dead, it wants out. And all it's going to take to stop it is for Heather to play Nancy one last time. That's your story. Now, this is far, far better film than the previous film, with it being a darker Freddy, not the original Freddy. And it's not, like I said, it's an entity that looks like Freddy. It's taken on the form of Freddy Krueger to come into our world. And it is targeting specifically Heather's son, Dylan, and Heather specifically. And it, when it comes to the kills, there aren't that many kills in here. In fact, there's only like 4 if you count the 2 in the dream sequence. At the beginning of the film, Heather has a dream, and 2 special effects guys get killed. And the next day, her husband Chase gets called in because those 2 special effects guys didn't show up. And he dies in sort of a callback kill to Dan's kill in Part 5, where he's asleep at the wheel, and Freddy kills him when he falls asleep at the wheel. Freddy killed him. Basic kill. And then the other one, which is the babysitter, who is Julie, played by Tracy Middendorf, who I have mentioned in the Angel retrospective reviews. But those will be coming back. I just got to figure out how to do them, because as you remember, I was sitting in front of the TV with the menu screen. Well, now that I've switched everything back to the living room, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna set it up so that I can do it that way. Because I want to keep continuing, because I kind of like that in the background, but I'll figure it out. Back to this. So the Julie kill is a callback to Tina's kill from the first film. She's dragged on the ceiling, killed by Freddy. And what's worse is that instead of her teenage boyfriend witnessing it, it's the 8-year-old Dylan seeing all this go on. I think 8 or 6, one of the two. It's a child witnessing this, and he is distraught. And Dylan basically becomes possessed for part of the film, walking around, never sleep again, never sleep again, you know. Robert Englund plays himself for part of the film. There's a scene where she goes to a talk show, Heather goes to a talk show, and when Robert Englund dresses up as the original Freddy, shows up and they have a talk afterwards. There's even a phone call where he's drawing the demonic version of Freddy. And then he disappears partway through the film, and it's never mentioned on there, but you can kind of gather that Robert Englund has turned into Freddy, just as the other characters have turned into, like, eventually Heather becomes Nancy, and John Saxon becomes Lieutenant Thompson, despite the fact his character did, and so did Nancy. But anyway, that was the end. And then, you know, that's the great part. Towards the end, you got this scene where Dylan is at the hospital, and once again, they're trying to, like, say that she's an unfit parent, but just like the last, just like part 5, it doesn't really go anywhere, so that's okay. But, like, Dylan escapes from the hospital and is running across the highway to get back home, because that's where his mom said the home is. You go across the highway, there's our house. So he's going across the highway, and this is the part where Freddy is dangling him across the highway. He finally gets to the house. Heather's chasing behind. She gets there. She sees John Saxon's at the house now, and she called him. And he's turned into Lieutenant Donald Thompson now, and he calls her Nancy. And she's like, "Why you call me Nancy, John? Why you call me John, Nancy?" You know, and you're like, "Nancy, you need to get some sleep." And all this whole time you see Freddy kind of trying to make his way to the bed. He's under Dylan's bed. The thing raises up. And then she says, "Okay, Daddy." And Freddy just like he's free. He's out. And it culminates in a Hansel and Gretel type finale where they're in this world, this dark, demonic Freddy world, where there's this giant oven, and Dylan is kind of scurried in there, and he escapes through a hole while luring the demon Freddy in there, and they shut it on him, and he burns to death inside the fire, which is how he died before. And they both wake up back in the regular world with a script in front. And there's a little note from Wes Craven that said, "Thank you for having the guys to play Nancy one last time." It's, like I said, it's the precursor to Scream, where they poke fun at the tropes and everything within the Freddy films most. And I think it really helped that 2 years later, Scream came out. So it kind of helped push Scream forward. Without this film, there would not be Scream. Are there any negatives I can come up with? Yes. Only 2 kills? Come on. Well, 4 if you count the 2 other kills at the beginning, but and I guess you can because they do, you know, say they never showed up for work, so they could be considered dead. But, you know, you don't really get many kills in this after, you know, and you think back to the original, there wasn't that many, there was 3. 4 if you count the mom, I guess. But there's that 4. And I guess Wes Craven wanted to get cerebral with it. He didn't want like a hardcore slasher with a bunch of deaths. But you think of the other films that came through, and really, I guess there wasn't many of those killed either. But they're just so. But they're the 2 main ones, you know, the chase and the Julie kill. They're both callbacks to previous, you know, kills in the franchise. So I don't know. To me, it's not really, not really anything. And the whole little, I don't know, it's a subplot, but it's just a little thing, like I said, about thinking she's an unfit parent. They got this doctor who's a bitch. No, she's not really a bitch, but she's trying to look out for the best for Dylan. And, of course, because in these films, nobody believes anybody, She thinks that Nancy or Heather's lost her mind, and is like because of all these horror films and stuff, and she thinks she's letting Dylan look. It's not a crime to let your kid watch horror films, all right? But I guess in 1994 or 3, whatever it was, because she thinks that Nancy's letting Dylan, or Heather's letting Dylan watch horror movies, so that's a bad thing, and he should be taken away from her or something. That I never liked those kind of plot points, so that's automatically a negative. And here's one thing I never thought was utilized much. The alter ego characters. Like, they could have had more actors come back to play. Like, they have this funeral for Chase, right? And apparently he's known among the Nightmare on Elm Street community because you got Nick Corey and you got Tuesday Night. That's all they could get back. Especially if you want to bring in the cast, the core cast from the originals. You got Nick Corey there. Why not have the actress to play Tina? Or even have Johnny Depp stop in for a cameo. Pay him a little extra money for a small little cameo, Even had somebody, Lisa Wilcox or even Mark Patton. Just for a quick cameo, But what do you get? You get Wes Craven, that's cool. Robert Englund. Among playing Freddy, is also playing himself. Heather Langenkamp playing herself / Nancy. John Saxon. I guess key characters, but you could have had some people show up for a cameo or two. Just like, even if you have them standing around in an office or something, or on a phone, or, stuff like that. But it's always bugged me that they didn't try to get more, more meta with it. Adding more cameos in there, you know what I mean? That's just always bugged me. And I guess that's all I have to say. But I will say this. It is a decent film. And if you're a fan of this film like me, there are people on YouTube who are working on a fan film for this. It's called Dylan's New Nightmare. Cecil Laird from the Horror Show and Dave McCrae are working on this with the actual actor Miko Hughes who played Dylan. He's coming back for this thing. They're working on it. Just like, I'm not gonna try to tell you to pay money or anything, but just like, do what you can to help, I guess. You want to see this thing go through, I really like to see what they could do with this, and it sounds very cool. Yeah, the little teaser trailer, So, please try to, I don't know, I have a little hunky-dory YouTube channel, it's not much, but do something, or just, pray that it comes through or something, I don't know. Well, I don't know what else to say, I'm not really professional at this, but, guys, now it's time for my score for The New Nightmare. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Very good. And I have time. I'm going to do Freddy vs. Jason tonight before I go to bed, so I'll see you for that. But until then, like, share, and subscribe, and of course, welcome to Primetime, bitch.